I made a video about the Haslab Rancor about a week ago, and I'd recommend watching that video if you haven't heard about the project, but briefly, it's a 6-inch Black Series scale Rancor that Hasbro is attempting to crowdfund for $350. Now, in addition to the Rancor itself, they also have 4 bonus tiers that will include additional items that will be unlocked if they get enough backers for the project. At the time of my initial video, they had only announced the first tier bonus, which was a Power of the Force style Gamorrean Guard figure. And while that's nice, it's really just a repack of a previously released figure, so I was hoping that the other bonuses would be new figures related to the Rancor, such as the Rancor Keeper and Ula. But a few days after I released my video, they announced the second tier, even though they weren't anywhere near reaching it, and that was a cardboard display backdrop and some bones and skulls that you can use to decorate your Rancor pit. Now, these are not bad. I should say, first of all, that the backdrop is made from art by Chris Trevis, who is an artist that I really like. I actually have some of his original artwork. And the skulls and bones do look nice. They're well done. And there even appears to be an Ula skull, which is a little sad, if I'm honest. I feel like the cardboard backdrop should just be part of the included packaging, and for me, the skulls are not really something that's that attractive because I could easily 3D print something like that myself. And I would say online reaction to this reveal has been tepid at best, so it seems like a lot of people agree with me. That's why I had high hopes for the video that Haslab released today on their YouTube channel showing the actual paint job that they're going to be using for the Rancor instead of the grayscale ones that we've been seeing, and the final 2 tiers. I'm not really sure if they plan to do things this way from the start or if they were kind of scrambling to try and combat some of the negative online reaction, but in any case, they decided to just put all their cards on the table and show us what we're getting with this project if it should get fully backed. So let's go ahead and look at what they revealed today and how it affects the value proposition for the Rancor. After the team talked for 5 or 6 minutes, they released this video that I'm showing you now, which is our first glimpse of the actual paint job on the Rancor. And I'll have to say, at first glance, it looks really good. Especially compared to the other Rancor figures we've gotten in the past. For whatever reason, even the most recent Rancor, which is considered to be the best one in terms of its sculpt, have just not been nearly as accurate as this one here. I mean, it's actually brown, for example, instead of being nearly black as the other Rancor has been. So that's great. It does look impressively large compared to a person. I'd say it's similar in size to the Gentle Giant statue that I've reviewed on the channel in the past. And of course, here we have them showing off various poses and things. I really like that jaw that opens wide enough, apparently, to at least partially take in a Gamorrean Guard, which is always a feature I like in a Rancor. And those posable fingers as well. That drool may be a little less impressive than I was expecting, but I do like the attached manacle there. Now, they've mentioned that the chain and the earring are going to be metal in the final piece, which is nice. There we have him chowing down on the Rancor. Now, here is the second tier that I mentioned just a minute ago with the backdrop and the skulls. So that was it for their initial reveal video, but they did actually have the prototype Rancor figure, painted one, there in the studio with them, which did definitely help get a sense of what it was going to be like in person. I will say, to focus on the good parts of this, I do think that the paint job is pretty impressive, and of course there's no guarantee that it'll look like this exactly when they come out of the Chinese factories, but I think it'll be pretty close, and it's definitely the best looking Rancor paint job we've had on a figure. Now, they spent a lot of time talking about the figure and, all the process that went into designing it and how impressive it is and so forth like that. We're not going to worry about any of that. We're going to jump right ahead to when they reveal the final 2 tiers. Now, unfortunately, ScreenRant.com had already kind of spoiled this by releasing their exclusive article about the 2 tiers basically at the same time that this stream started, which I thought was a little lame. So if we fast forward about 20 or 30 minutes and finally get to the part where they're doing the tier reveals, they started off by kind of recapping the first 2 tiers. So they showed painted versions of the Gamorrean Guard and the Rancor posed in a kind of Rancor pit environment, and it looks pretty good, I'll have to say. Although, if we're honest, I think the vast majority of these Gamorrean Guards, assuming they ever do get produced on the card, are just going to stay on the card because people who are likely to buy this Rancor will already have a separate Gamorrean Guard or two lying around and won't want to ruin their special carded version. Then they moved on to the ever-popular Rancor Pit cardboard backdrop. Now, this they actually had a full-size printout of to show in relation to the Rancor. It won't look like this exactly, of course. It's going to be on actual cardboard. It won't be this glossy and it'll be, cut out and everything, but it does give you an idea of the size at least. And it looks fine. It looks good, but I can't imagine it being the decisive factor for very many people wanting to back this project. And the same goes for the bones, which they didn't actually even have on the set with them. And finally came the moment pretty much everyone had been waiting for, the reveal of the last two tiers. And of course, with the Rancor, you have to expect you would get one character in particular, and that is, of course, Salacious Crumb. Wait a minute, what? I'm not joking here. This is actually the number 3 tier. It's going to be a carded Salacious Crumb. I mean, I like the idea of a carded Crumb. I have the other smaller scale carded Salacious Crumb that they made a long time ago. But I don't really see what it has to do, really, with the Rancor, or why it should be a tier 3 bonus. This choice is especially galling because, at least at first glance, this appears to be the exact same Salacious Crumb that they released as part of the SDCC exclusive Jabba on Throne set that they released way back in 2014. Beyond that, they just announced a few days ago that there's going to be a set of creatures available at Disney parks that includes a bunch of creatures, including this same scale Salacious Crumb, for $34.99. So they seem to be betting pretty heavily that people are going to really want a carded Salacious Crumb. You may recall in my previous video about this, I had hoped that we would be getting Malakili, the Rancor Keeper, Ula, and then maybe Jedi Luke. Although I wasn't really that enthusiastic about Luke because I figured he'd probably be another repack. So I listened with my fingers crossed as they released the final tier bonus, and that is, of course, Luke. Now, it's true that Luke definitely makes sense to include here, just in terms of the character and the scene that they're trying to recreate. And I will give them credit for apparently making a completely new Luke figure for this, so that's good. It's not just a repack. And it looks pretty good, what I can tell of it. It's a little difficult to tell. They didn't actually have the figure in hand or anything like that. I do like the fact that they went with a vintage-style Power of the Force packaging here, but as with the Gamorrean Guard, most people are probably not going to be opening this up, and there's basically zero chance that this Luke figure is not going to see a release that's separate, sort of in normal Black Series packaging. So when all is said and done, really this bonus is just the card. I think almost everyone who's likely to be a backer of this project would have much preferred to get something exclusive like a Rancor Keeper figure or an Ula, and we just didn't get that. Beyond that, this was going to have to get to 19,000 backers in order to actually unlock this tier. And, well, I don't know how likely that is, to be honest with you. Let's take a look at the status as of this moment. So to get to the first tier, they needed 11,000 backers. The next tier with the cardboard and skulls is 13,500 backers. To get to Salacious Crumb, they need 16,000 backers. And finally, to get to Luke, we need 19,000 backers. Now, I took this screenshot just before the stream started, showing that they had 5,134 backers with a little over 17 days to go. Not super promising, really. You'd have to get to 9,000 for it to be backed at all, and then, of course, the next tiers are significantly more than that. But let's see what kind of effect that the reveals that we just talked about had. Yes, it's gone down by a significant amount, which is really not what you want to see after you've just made your big reveals like this. I do still think that the Rancor itself is probably going to get backed at 9,000, But the other tiers, I am not super confident about, especially because you have to get past something like the cardboard backdrop tier to get to something like Luke. Now, I'm not going to be canceling, and I am still excited about getting a Rancor, hopefully, but this whole thing seems like it was fairly badly mismanaged. Everyone, literally everyone who was interested in this project wanted a Rancor Keeper and an Ula figure. But instead we got a couple of repacks and something that really should come with the figure to begin with, a backdrop and some little accessories. Not super impressive. And I don't know if it was just too expensive to come up with new figures like Ula and the Rancor Keeper for a project like this, or what, but yeah, I can certainly sympathize with the people who have decided to cancel, because it just doesn't seem like Hasbro's heart was in this. But let me know what you think. Have you backed this already? And if so, are you going to cancel? Have you decided to back based on what you saw in this video? Let me know down in the comments. This video is probably the fastest turnaround I've ever had for a video, because they just finished this stream a couple hours ago, and I'm just about ready to finish editing this video, but I wanted to get it out quickly to kind of, get a feel for what people's reactions are. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so on patreon.com, like these Palace VIPs have, as well as Angelica Brady. Click the link in the video description for more information. Thanks for watching.